Hi guys, this is Draco here, coming at you with a new deck profile today, and this is what I brought to the Nationals, not for the main event but for the side events. For the main event I brought a Mathmech because I wasn't too confident with Dinomorphia in the main event, simply because Kashtira was running wild, Super Heavy Samurais was a very potent threat, and my chance of winning the die roll has not been the best as of late, so I took the safe bet and did Mathmech. Dropped after round 6, my record was X3. Mathmech mirrors were just the worst. So instead, I'm here to delegate to you something I'm really proud of, something I've constructed for the longest time, and I just had a lot of fun with this. And this whole gimmick behind the strategy of halving life constantly is just insane, but that's where the fun is. So I really hope you guys enjoy what I'm about to show you. I've decided to go for the more pure build rather than the Zark build, although I have seen Zark builds have become a lot better. They've topped better on, but this is more of a thin your deck as quick as possible kind of strategy. So let's get into it without any further ado and see what you guys think. Okay, so for the main deck, I've run 3 Dinomorphia Treza and 2 Diplos. Now the reason behind this is because Diplos itself is not really that great. Typical builds would run 3 of each, but Treza is mainly the card that does all the work for you. So on normal or special summon, you can set a Dinomorphia trap, but unfortunately it can't be activated this turn. But that's fine, it's just like a follow-up. And then if she dies, you banish any trap in the grave, special summon the brother. Dipple's effect is basically a foolish burial for any Dinomorphia card, not just monster. So people just seem to assume I'm just going to dump the other monster in the graveyard and didn't realise I'm going to throw a trap in there. But I only run 2 because it's just this summon clause. It really doesn't do an awful lot, unfortunately. But for the honourable 3rd place, I put Miscellaneousaurus, because this deck can be extremely fragile. But if you activate Misc, it makes all your dinosaur monsters unaffected by activated effects this turn. So very, very good for what it is. Also, there's a cool little play where if you have so many dinosaurs in the grave, you can banish up to 4 with different names, especially some trees from the deck. So Miscellaneousaurus, I think, is just incredible. But yeah, that's mainly all the archetype cards. Now, because we were in a Nationals tournament and it was more or less a hand trap format, I decided to go with 3 Drawn Lockbird and 3 Ash Blossom of Joyspring. So I do apologise for the mixed rarities, but self-explanatory. Hits super heavies, hits any combo deck going out there. Ash Blossom just the generic one, and also hits the Branded Fusion. No more needs to be explained with these. And the other monster I play in the deck, which I think is mandatory moving forward, is 3 Wannabe. So it does not just Dinomorphia, but any trap should consider, or any trap archetype should consider playing this card. It's unbelievably powerful. So what this little girl does, she effectively on the end phase of the turn, so it's not just your turn, it's just the end phase, depending how many back row your opponent has unoccupied, you can excavate that many cards from your hand and then set a trap from your hand. It's absolutely insane, and it's kind of like a budget pot of prosperity. But speaking of, this is how we're going to deck thin. I play 3 of them. I understand this is expensive, but I want to get max value as I can. So I have the setting of any trap and then setting of any card if I want, because majority of my extra deck does not focus on the Zark variant, which means I have so much space. So Pot of Prosperity, absolutely incredible for this deck. It gets the cards you want, that's what you want to see. And then to top it all off, 2 Pot of Duality. So Duality is, a pseudo Pot of Prosperity, I suppose. You add any card you want, but you can't special summon this turn. That's absolutely fine. So yeah, all 3 very good. Would recommend it. So the reason why, as well, is that you'd have a higher chance, or you actually go through either a third or half your deck to find the cards you want. So it sounds good in my eyes. Rounding off the spells though, I play 1 Triple Tactics Talent. Normally this would not be in here, but I figured because it's a hand trap format, having the 1 does not hurt, and it did come up every now and then. But if I could play a second copy, I'd play a Call by the Grave. But of course, it's limited in the TCG, so it is what it is. But you know, very good card, mandatory in this build, in my opinion, because again, hand trap format. Moving on to the real juice though, moving on to the traps. So 3 Dinomorphia Frenzy, 3 Dinomorphia Domain. So very self-explanatory. All the Dinomorphia traps, whether it's the normals or the counters, they all have the life as a cost. But effectively, what happens is this one, you send a monster from your extra deck or the main deck to the graveyard to conduct a fusion summon. This one you send from the hand, field, or graveyard using monsters from the main deck. So this is like a branded fusion. This is like an extended branded fusion, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way. Because they don't specifically say they have to come from the extra deck, it's just a extra deck monster. And then, of course, a main deck monster as well. So, just food for thought. And also, before we move on, both of these traps have a grave effect where if you have life points of 2,000 or less, you can banish it from your grave and you take no effect damage for the rest of this turn. So that's really key as well, just to help with the backup protection. But the new card we play is 3 Dinomorphia Intact. Dinomorphia Intact is fucking phenomenal. Like, this card is just unbelievably good for what it can do. So the archetype really needed an inherent Solemn Strike, because Solemn Strike itself, paying the 15, actually is becoming really steep. You know, so basically this replaces it completely. You pay your half life points as you normally would, and it stops any monster effect that gets activated. So you need to get the activation destroyed, but then for the rest of the turn after this resolves, you take half life points when it comes to battle damage. So rather than taking 3k to the face, it's half your life points instead. Very, very good card. And to top it all off, the grave effect, you can banish it and you take no damage for that turn. Battle damage specifically. And then for the rest of the Dinomorphia traps, I play 1 Sonic, 1 Alert, and 1 Brute. So Sonic, it's kind of like a pseudo Solemn Judgment. Only negates spells and traps when they destroy a Dinomorphia monster, and then they just float back. Also, you pay half, and then has the damage step. You know, banish it, you take no battle damage. Dinomorphia Alert, pay half, special summon up to 2 Dinomorphia monsters who equal up to level 8. So you get 2 of the level 4s, or you get one of the Rex back from the graveyard. Definitely considering running a second one. There has been times where I wish I had it. And then Dinomorphia Brute. Basically DPE effect, pay half, destroy a Dinomorphia card, monster you control, and a card they control. Very good cards for what they're worth. And then outside of the Dinomorphia traps, we play the Honourable Dinomorphia trap. 3 Solemn Judgment. I will not say play any less. Max is 3, more than necessary. Keep half your life points, negate a summon, negate a spell or trap. So good, would not, surpass that. Other than that, I play 2 goals a match because I figured, attributes are a thing. This will effectively stop Cashier in its tracks. This will also stop players like Mathmech, and it will also stop players like even Salman Great, for example. Very good card for what it's worth, if you're going first. MVP of the deck though, 100% Fairy Flames. So Fairy Flames is unbelievably powerful for this strategy. It's probably one of the only archetypes that can pull this off. So effectively, depending on how low your life points are, you make your opponent shuffle back monsters they control until they have monsters that are equal or lower than your life points effectively. So if your life points is 50, for example, there's very little monsters in the game that have 50 attack value. So you're practically wiping their board, and they can't control it because it's the player who has to shuffle it, not a monster effect. Well, not, when a monster is unaffected by card effects, it affects the player, not the monster. So really key thing to note there. And then my final trap I play, just for a little spice and flex spot, Trap Tracks. Trap Tracks is actually fantastic in this deck, and I highly recommend people give it another try. So it's basically Trap Trick, except you destroy a monster and then you set a normal trap from your deck, and they can be activated this turn, but you can only activate 1 trap after that. This is key because it means if you have like a dead Diplos on resolution, you can banish the Trap Trick, bring back the Trees assessment of the card, and you have a card ready to go. So you have a Ferret Flames. So, I just think it's insane because no one can see this coming. It's so good. Anyway, that's the main deck. The main deck was 42. I tried to cut down to 40, could not find a space. If I were to take things out, it probably would have been the talents and maybe one wannabe, but 3 was just too nice in my opinion. So yeah, moving on. We'll just start off with the rubbish Dinomorphia card first. This is just typically the fusion fodder, but the effect states if your life points are 2,000 or less, you don't pay life points for Dinomorphia cards. So if you're not confident of going lower than 2,000, that's completely fair. But the idea is you do want to go lower. The second effect is if a monster activates fit of the field trigger, you can burn them for their life for the attack value of that monster. So let's just say, I don't know, a body with 2/5, you can burn for 2/5. And then of course, if this dies by battle or card effect, special summon level 4 Dinomorphia from the graveyard. So that's just typically the fusion fodder. The other ones we do play, however, 3 Ketchadina. Absolutely incredible monster. Sounds gimmicky at first, but it's really good for what it is. So her attack value, is determined depending on how low your life points are. So rather than staying at 2,000, you really want to go as low as possible, which is ludicrous. However, that's where the fun starts. And she just gets huge, and even if her effects were negated, her base stat is 4k. So keep that in mind. You know, this girl is a badass, and she will fucking, go for you if you let her. Her real effect though is pay half, and then you banish a trap for cost, and then effectively what happens is she copies that Dinomorphia's trap effect. And again, if she dies, special summon a level 4 Dinomorphia from the graveyard. And then what makes this deck thrive? Of course, 3 Rexturn. So Rexturn is so powerful for what it can do. It's a walking, talking skill drain, effectively. Your opponent can't activate monster effects on the field if my life points are lower than their attack values. So again, you might want to consider going as low as possible, because that's where the fun begins. Other effects include, not limited to, even on the damage step, pay half your life points, make all monsters your opponent controls become your life value. So if their monsters are like 1,000, for example, or higher, and you can't activate their effects because my life would be 1,000, for example. And of course, if this dies, you can special summon level 6. A cool little combo would be, let's just say, things were getting really heated up. If this would die by battle or card effect by any means, special summon back Kajina, banish Dinomorphia alert, and then bring back Rexturn. Yeah, really, really cool combo. Well, that's all the Dinomorphia fusions. I do wish there were more, I'm not going to lie. Or at least a main deck monster, that'd be quite cool. But now moving on to the more generic stuff. 1 Raiders Knight, 1 Arc Rebellion Xyz. This is like another backup plan in case my opponent banishes all my Rexturns with Kashtira card effects or whatever. You can just get the 2 level 4s and then use this effect, just go into this, trigger this effect, negate the whole board, make this huge as possible in 1 punch. Next up, just Honourable Dinosaur / Dragons, Doka and Lagia. Doka to stop a monster effect, and then Lagia is basically a Solemn Judgment. So, never came up, but they were there. Easy prosperity targets. 1 Dark, 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Fairly simple. A lot of Dark decks, just bring it back. This dies, get either Dinomorphia Diplos or Teresa, or even a Wannabe for example, if it dies. And then the last and notable card, Chaos Angel. You can get this using Katrina, a level 4 Dinomorphia monster, to synchro summon into this. Really cool play. And on top of that, making your monsters beyond just can't be destroyed by battle is also really nice. So yeah, that's the extra deck. Moving on to the side now, what I decide to choose. So I play 3 evenly, 3 Storm, and 3 Golem. I always see these as the Holy Trinity. So get rid of your monsters, get rid of your back row, get rid of your board. They all have the same concept, just going to get rid of your board, so why wouldn't you? Very effective side options. And then 2 Nibiru, because I thought no one's going to respect it, so if I do come across those rogue matchups, Nib was a good option. Also for the rogue matchup, just call whatever type it is, whether it's Fusion, Rituals, Synchro, Disease, or Pendulum, and then they can't play from there. And then of course to stop super heavy samurais and pesky runic decks, anti-spell fragrance. And yeah, that is pretty much the deck, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this. As you can see, I'm quite proud of what I've accomplished with this. We did play a 3v3 and we won that one. That was a lot of fun. We also played a few side events. Didn't do particularly great because Kashtira is a problem, but hopefully the ban list has changed that and we can see some less sweaty gameplay going on. No offense to you all out there, love you all really. Anyway, that's it for the deck profile, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, take it easy, enjoy your summer, and happy doing.